Raleigh Museum.
Hi, I'm Megan Rady, the Assistant Director of the City of Raleigh Museum.
And I'm Becky Holmes with the Friends of the City of Raleigh Museum. While we can't celebrate this in person this year, we're really excited to be able to bring it to you virtually.
In collaboration with the Friends of the City of Raleigh Museum, Artist Studio Project, and the Consulate General of Mexico, we welcome you to today's events. And we hope to see you next year in person here at the City of Raleigh Museum.
Hola, buenos días. My name is Rafael Osuba. I am the Artistic Director for Artist Studio Project, also the Director of the El Quixote Festival, now in our 6th year. And it gives me great pleasure to once again collaborate with the City of Raleigh Museum and the Friends of the City of Raleigh Museum, along with the Mexican Consulate of Raleigh, to bring to you a wonderful program today where we take a closer look to this wonderful tradition, this culture of Dia De Los Muertos. We also are celebrating our 4th annual Dia De Los Muertos event here at the COR Museum. And what we've done is we've put together a wonderful event where we can kind of dig a little deeper and look a little closer into this tradition, give you some history, give you a little bit of a background, some of the elements of what makes this wonderful tradition and this culture so colorful and beautiful, and why we're so excited to always share this with you each year. We've invited some good friends from here in the local area of North Carolina to help us with this story. We've got some workshops, we've got some videos behind the scenes, we've got some music, some how-tos that will be shared separately on our website, iamquixote.com. But also, what we've done is we've invited a very good friend from the City of Mexico. She is a certified tour guide, as well as a host of her own television program and her own program online called Mexico with Citla. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my good friend, Citla Soto. Hello, hola Citla, ¿cómo estás?
Hi, how are you, Rafa? I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Well, first of all, let me thank you for taking the opportunity to be with us today. I know that you are currently in the City of Mexico, in the capital. And I was telling our friends a little bit about you, that you're a certified tour guide and that you host your weekly online program. But why don't you share a little bit about yourself so that our viewers can learn a little bit more about you?
Okay, great. Yes. First of all, thank you again for having me. Thanks, Rafa. Thanks for having me in this great virtual event. And yes, like you said, I'm based in Mexico City. I'm a certificated tour guide. Let me say my name again, Citlaltzin Soto. Please call me Citla, because I know it's a very difficult name to pronounce. So I always say to my clients, call me Citla, please. It's easier. And yes, I give tours, all kinds of tours, you know, group tours, private tours for families, for children, running tours, you know, those tours where while you run, I show you the city, tours in museums, I mean, all kinds of tours. I love the city. I love to show people the city, the culture. And also I give some Facebook Lives in my webpage, well, not my webpage, my Facebook page, Mexico with Citla. So you can watch that show every Thursday night at 8 p.m. And we talk a little bit about everything, you know, the culture, the food, local craft, everything in the city. You know, Mexico has a huge amount of things and culture. And yeah, that's what I do.
Wonderful. And I know that a lot of times you interview local artists and artisans and food, which we love. And so I know that we've prepared a special presentation today. We're going to take a closer look to this wonderful tradition, Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. And we're so excited about what you've prepared. We've invited some of our local artists to also take part. And I know that you've invited some of your local friends. And we're going to have some videos outside of this video that they can find on our website that gives us an opportunity to talk about the different elements. I know that we're going to do some recipe for Day of the Dead bread, and there's some music, and then there's some face painting. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to cover with this fourth annual festival celebration of Day of the Dead here at the COR Museum. And without further ado, I'd like for you to get started.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Rafa, we're going to have a little bit of everything related to the Day of the Dead. This date is closer, you know, it's November 1st and November 2. So we're going to talk about a little bit about the ancient pre-Hispanic cultures, how it starts, how we celebrate these days, the elements, the altars, and like you said, a recipe for the Day of the Dead bread, or pan de muerto, like we call it. We have some music, we have some morticians for papel picado, and lots of things that you're gonna love.
Wonderful. We have some music, we have a lot of stuff. So why don't we go ahead and get started, and without further ado.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. I'm gonna share you a presentation. And I'll show you this overview of the Day of the Dead. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Day of the Dead festivities. So I hope you like this overview. And let's begin with this. In the screen you're watching the Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead, sorry. And we're going to start with pre-Hispanic background. For the ancient Mexican cultures, when they died, they didn't believe in heaven and hell. The belief was that when people die, they went to this journey, this long journey, where they have to cross for 9 regions in order to arrive to this place called Mictlan, where they finally will find, eternal rest for their souls. So that was the belief for the ancient people in Mexico, or Mesoamerica, like we call it, in that time, in that period. So that's a little bit of how the celebration of the Day of the Dead, or the belief for the Day of the Dead, start. They didn't believe that they died, they just change. So, but it wasn't the same for everyone. For example, we have here some images. I'm gonna mention some words in Nahuatl. So if you hear some weird words, don't worry, those are Nahuatl words, it's Nahuatl language, and I'm gonna explain you the meaning, okay? So, for example, women who die in labor and warriors went to this place called Tonacali, to live with the Lord of the Sun, or the God of the Sun, called Tonatiuh. So these people went straight. They didn't have to cross the 9 worlds because they were warriors or women who die in labor. Another example, we have here Tlaloc. Tlaloc was the god or the Lord of the water and the thunder and the rain. So people who die, like with water, drowned or struck by a lightning, they went to live with this god Tlaloc to the Tlalocan. That was the name of the world where he lived. And then another one. This is a tricky word. Chichihuahuauco.
Wow.
That's a difficult word. Well, in this place, especially children or babies, they went there when they die that young. The belief was that in this place, as you are watching in the image, there was a tree with this hanging breast where they could be fed with milk. So they went straight to this world. Let me say the word again, because I'm impressed that I could say the word Chichihuahuauco. So those are our words, our Nahuatl words. Those are not Spanish words.
Those are the native, that's the native tongue.
Yes, that's the native tongue for Nahua people. We have lots of languages here in Mexico, And in the central part of Mexico, people speak or used to speak Nahuatl. We have still some people who speak Nahuatl nowadays. So the rest of the people, like I mentioned before, they have to cross and make this long journey to cross these 9 regions to finally arrive with Micantecutli. He was the god of the dead, and he lived in the Mictlan, and that was the goal, to finally find the rest for your tonali. Tonali in Nahuatl language or in English means spirit. So that's another Nahuatl word. So that was kind of the things that they had to do. So that's a little bit of the pre-Hispanic background. And then finally, European people or Spaniards arrived to Mesoamerica or to America. So in order to convert people into the Catholic religion, they allowed to combine the beliefs of the pre-Hispanic people with the Catholic beliefs. You know, they have to convert a lot of people, and it was easier for them to convert them if they just let them do what they like with their festivities. Of course, these festivities also were related with human sacrifices, and that wasn't allowed for the Spaniards and for the Catholics. So they moved all these festivities from the pre-Hispanic people to the 1st of November or the 2nd of November. You know, All Saints Days and All Souls Days, the Day of the Dead. So that's how the festivity, as we know it now, start, you know, with the altars and all the things that we are going to watch and see in this presentation. But that was for the Catholic religions. That's when this mix between beliefs start, you know, when the Spaniards arrived in the 16th century, okay? So we have different celebrations in Mexico. Here we have one called Chantolo. When the Spaniards arrived, they, especially the Catholic priests, when they arrived, they gave the service, you know, the service at church in Latin. But the indigenous people, they didn't speak Latin. they didn't even speak Spanish.
Very few people still do. I mean, Latin is not. I mean, more people speak it now, but we still don't. Many people still don't speak Latin. Yeah,
but it was the usual at that time, right? So in this region called Huasteca, and let me tell you, Huasteca is a region in an area in Mexico with 3 or 4 states on it, like Veracruz State, Hidalgo State, San Luis Potosí State. In the screen, we're watching the celebration in Hidalgo State. So you can watch the woman, she's dressing with the traditional costume, the traditional dress that they wear. She's praying. And like I said, they couldn't say this word Santorum, which means something like Saints of All Saints. So they couldn't say Santorum. So they changed the word Santorum for Chantolo, which is more like Nahuatl. So that's why this festivity is called Chantolo. Chantolo is Sanctorum, Saint of All Saints. So this is one of the festivities. Another one is in Janitzio Island. Janitzio is literally a small island in the middle of the Lake of Pátzcuaro in Michoacán State. And many people think that now it's very touristic because many people visit this place, this island, during the Day of the Dead festivities. But for the people in the island and people in Janitzio Island, they spent the whole night in the graveyard. And as you can see in the image, people celebrate, people take food, people take music. We're going to talk about music. And as you're watching, they are pure joy. They are happy. they're not sad because they are waiting for the loved ones. They are coming back to hang out with them, to talk with them, to stay with them. So that's the image that we have. And there are some elements, special elements, depending on the area of the country. And for example, we can watch in the right side of the image people fishing because it's a lake. So usually in the altars in this area, you will find fishes and dogs because they used to hunt and they used to, have fish. So.
And that's one of the things that makes this celebration, this tradition so different and so wonderful is that, it's a celebration, right? You're celebrating life. You're celebrating our ancestors, those that have left us, but on this day they come back. They're with us, and so it's a happy time. Unlike what happens here in the West or happens here in the United States, where we look at death a little bit differently. We look at the way that our ancestors has passed by as a somber thing, something that's we're sad about. This is full of color. It's wonderful, and there's music. It's a big celebration. But I think that's one of the things that makes it so special as well.
Yeah, you're right, Rafa. I know death is something sad, and you don't want that your loved ones passed away. But here, like I said, since the pre-Hispanic times, we didn't believe, these people didn't believe in death. They believe that they change. They just cross from one world to another. So here, as you said, with the celebrations, we are waiting for them. We are happy because they are coming again. Each year, they are coming with us and they celebrate life with us. So yeah, you're right. These festivities are really, really full of joy and of colors and food and music, and it's amazing. And it's really beautiful when you go to these small towns, when you visit these small towns with these old traditions. So that's what I'm showing you in these images. Things that you won't see, in the big cities. So we talk about music. You're watching a mariachi in a graveyard, and that's something that you will watch very much near in the graveyards in Mexico City, in Mexico. So people take music for the loved ones because they love music, and mariachi is something very traditional. And by the way, let me tell you, one of these videos that you talk about in Annual El Quixote.com, we're gonna have this extraordinary musician playing the Weeping Woman song, or La Llorona.
And I'm playing a little bit of that right now. People can probably hear a little bit of that right now, and we're gonna show you the video later. But what you're listening to right now is Larry Bellorin and Agustin Gonzalez, and they're playing from the COR Museum. They're playing La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman.
Yes, that's one of the most beautiful and traditional songs for the Day of the Dead festivities. So don't miss that because it's gonna be beautiful. So music is really, really important. And of course, we cannot leave the celebrations in Mexico City. We like things in big. So during October, we're gonna have these big celebrations, these big parades. We have the first one, Alebrijes Parade. Alebrijes are these fantastic creatures, which are very traditional also for the Day of the Dead. That's one of the parades. And then we have another big parade and really fun, and people participate. All of you can participate. If you come to Mexico City during these dates and you say, oh, I want to participate in the festival, in the Catrina's festival, you can get the makeup and participate in the festival. It is actually a contest, so the best Catrina wins. So This is another thing that we do in Mexico City. And the biggest parade is the Day of the Dead parade, also in October. As you can see, a lot of people come to see the parade. And here, well, we're gonna see all the imagination of the artist and lots of Catrinas, also lots of skulls, and many people celebrating the dead and, of course, life. So
and what is the Catrina? What is the Catrina?
Well, many people relate Catrina with the Day of the Dead because she's a skull, right? But it has nothing to do with the Day of the Dead. Catrina was the name given by Diego Rivera, you know, this famous painter in Mexico.
Artist.
Yeah, this huge artist in Mexico. He painted Catrina in one of his murals. But Catrina was made or created by this journalist called José Luis Posadas. He lived in the 19th century, and he criticized a lot the government of that time. So he made this image of this girl with the makeup, with this skull, dressing, you know, like with this big dress and the hat, and she was very elegant. But she was criticizing these Mexican people who wanted to believe that they were like European people. You know, they dressed like European people, but they were starving because they didn't have the resources and the money like European people. So the original name for Catrina is something like chickpea skull, or in Spanish, calavera garbancera. He was criticizing these people who changed the Mexican corn for European chickpeas. So that's the real story of Catrina. Now, Catrina is very famous because of Diego Rivera, of course, and because she's a skull. And let's be honest, it's really fun to have the makeup of Catrina for the Day of the Dead.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so that's the history of Catrina. I'm sorry if I've disappointed some people with the real story of Catrina.
That's right.
And then, of course, we mentioned already the altars, these tables that families and people put on their homes with all these important and different elements. And as you can see in the image, we have, for example, some photos of the people who passed away, of their families. You know, you can put photos of your grandfather, your children, your sisters, your brothers. Anyway, the photo of anyone that you want. Some people put, for example, toys for children, candies, their favorite food, their favorite drink. You will find altars with tequila or mezcal or beers, or I don't know, coffee, chocolate, hot chocolate, different elements. We're going to speak about some of the main elements in the altars. And by the way, this year we're going to have in the COR Museum, well, we have here different designs for the altars. As you can see, all depends on in your imagination, but usually they are, as you can watch, also very colorful and very full of life, because this is about life, not about death. So we have here a photo of the altar that Leti Alvarez is doing this year for the COR Museum. You will be able to visit this altar. Please don't miss it, and you will find the altar and a video of how she will make this altar for the Day of the Dead in the COR Museum.
Yeah, and the wonderful thing about what we do at the COR Museum is, because it's connected with the El Quixote Festival, each year there's a literary figure that is highlighted. This year the literary figure is Cervantes. So you'll be able to go there and you'll be able to see a few special things, like what you were saying, that were special or unique to Miguel de Cervantes Saavedra. who is, of course, the famous writer, Spanish writer of Don Quixote. So Leti has always done a great job, and we're so happy that she's collaborating with us once again. We also have Vicky Carrillo, and we were talking earlier about the face painting, right? And so Vicky Carrillo and has always helped us with her ballet folklorico, and she's going to talk to us about how you can go about painting your face and getting things ready for la calaveras, right? That's one of the favorite things that when people come out to the COR Museum, they see the many families and children that come out and paint their faces like a calavera, like a Catrina, right? So that's a wonderful thing as well.
Like this one in the photo, right?
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great. There's Vicky and one of her students, and they have prepared a nice video for us, and you can go and check that out on our website, iamquixote.com, to learn more about how you can go about doing that. I will mention that her favorite color is morado, or purple, so that's why she has been painted in that color, and wonderful.
And it looks beautiful. I mean, the makeup, this kind of makeup is not like the most traditional thing in Mexico, but it's really fun, and all the people get the makeup of Catrina.
And the wonderful thing about what Vicky does is that each year, everything that you see there, the dresses, the headpieces, are made by her. They're made by hand, and they're made by her and her friends and the people that work with her group. And she teaches this wonderful culture, and she teaches the children how to dance and how to celebrate. It's a wonderful job that she does with the community and with the children and with the families. And a lot of the families that are part of her group are not Latino, they're American. So that's a wonderful thing as well, that we're seeing more and more that families are adapting and embracing such a wonderful culture.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Actually, the dress that she's wearing with her daughter there, that's a traditional
It's one of her students. One of her students.
Oh, one of her students. That's a traditional dress from Chiapas, in Chiapas state. So you see all this combination and all this culture, and like you said, embrace it because it's beautiful. So let's go to the next slide, and finally, let's talk about these elements that we already mentioned in the altar. So there are some elements that should be in the altar. The rest is up to you. But let's start with these examples. For example, water. You have to have a glass of water always in the altar. What's the meaning of water? Water is the fountain of life. Water means in many cultures pureness, the pureness of the soul, and water is also for the thirsty people who comes to visit, right? They take a long journey to arrive here with us, so they are thirsty, so they need water, and that's why the water should be in the altar. So always put a glass of water in your altar, always. It doesn't matter that they didn't drink water. They will be thirsty because of this long journey. So that's one of the elements. Another one is salt. Try to put salt also in your altar, in your offering, because salt is another element of purification. And salt was very important in pre-Hispanic times too. And also it works like to preserve the body of these people who are visiting you, because they took a long journey, so they need to preserve their bodies. Their bodies, because of course they already passed away, but they need to preserve their bodies in order to arrive and then go back to the place that they came from, right? So that's another important element for the altars. Then we have candles, of course. We cannot miss candles. always in these altars, and of course candles in the graveyards. We already saw some images of these graveyards full of candles. And in pre-Hispanic times, again, the ancient cultures used this piece of wood called ocote, and it was easy to burn. That's why they use it. When the Spaniards arrived, they started to use candles, and the flame means the faith and the hope of these people who comes with us, and also for us. Candles are also a guide for the souls. You know, you put candles on the way to light up the path that they walk on their way. Also, in some cultures here in Mexico, candles are the number of loved ones that passed away. So you put the number of your people in the altar, and that's the number of the candles that you will place in the altar. So also, if you put the candles like in a cross, you know, with the shaped cross, it means the 4 cardinal points, and that will show the way to these people who passed away. So that's the candles. They have different meanings depending on the area, or depending on also your beliefs. So candles are really, really important. Also, we have this also element called copal. Copal is a vegetal resin, or how do you say it? Resin?
Yeah, it's resin. Like, it's a root, no?
Yeah, it is like a root, yes. From some trees here in Mexico, and they have a special scent. So this copal cleans the air from bad spirits, and they clean the air to the soul, for the souls that are coming to visit us. So when they come back to our homes, they come safely. So that's the meaning of copal. The copal will clean the air and clean this air from bad spirits. So it's really important.
It's amazing to me that a lot of these elements cross over to a lot of different cultures, a lot of different ethnic groups, and a lot of different religions. Because, you know, in the Catholic religion, they use frankincense, right, when they're doing that. And then in the Muslim religion, they use incense. So there's a lot of different types of, and then, you know, we have, you know, folks that do what they call the smudging, right, with sage, and different ways of, you know, clearing the air. So a lot of these elements that are being used, even though they started very, very early, have somehow been, you know, crossed over to other religions. And I think a lot of that has to do with, back in that time, having, you know, the influence of the Spanish, of the indigenous people, even, you know, the you know, folks, the Moors, and different individuals that were coming into the equation there.
Yeah, you're right. The essence of these elements, of these materials, of these roots is really important. You know, it's funny, and you know that there is an altar or an offering because of the smell. You cross in front of these altars, and you are, oh, there's an altar here, because you have the smell. Another element with the smell is cempasúchil. That's the name in Nahuatl. I think you know it like marigold. But here in Mexico, we know it as cempasúchil. Cempasúchil in Nahuatl language means flower of 20 petals, you know, because it has many of them. And the meaning of this flower, by tradition, says that the bright colors of this cempasúchil will mark the way for the dead, the way that they should follow in order to find their homes and their people, their family. Also, we believe that marigolds, or cempasúchil, kept keep the warmth of the sun because of the color. Indigenous people used to believe that they look like the sun, so they are warm like the sun. So that's a good thing also for our loved ones. And the scent of the flower also guides them. In some places, in Mexico, for example, in graveyards, people make this, like carpets made with these flowers. For the spirits, they have to follow these carpets also in order to find their families.
It's like follow the yellow brick road, but of marigolds.
Yeah, they follow the yellow road. Yes,
And
of the marigold.
one of the wonderful things that we do every year at the COR Museum, and one of the kind of crafts that we do is we make these wonderful big tissue paper marigolds, and it's always great to see the families and the children kind of do the big marigolds and cut it up. And I love the way that the kids love it. They put it on their wrist and they put it in their hair, and it's so beautiful. And you see the people walking, because we typically do things on a first Friday, and you see folks walking downtown Raleigh with the big marigolds with 2 or 3 of them. And people are always asking, where'd you see that? Where'd you get that? And it's always nice to know that at the COR Museum, it's one of the favorite craft table events that we do each year. It's really a lot of fun. It's very pretty as well.
It sounds wonderful. It sounds beautiful because this flower is so beautiful. Fields in here around the city, I mean, not in the city, but around the city, they are full of this yellow, orange, colorful flowers. We have another flower here, also cempasúchil, but that one is purple. So that's not very traditional, but many people also use it for the altars. But the most traditional one is marigold. So yeah, it's beautiful to watch this, in the markets, in the streets. People buy marigolds for their homes, and it's definitely beautiful. So everybody wants to have marigolds at their homes. So another element, calaveritas de azúcar. That's in Spanish. We call it sugar skull, and I think you call it sugar skull in English, right?
Yep.
So, as we mentioned before, this is related to human sacrifices from pre-Hispanic times. The sugar skull reminds that we are going to die someday, all of us. So, usually you put these sugar skulls in your altar, and in the forehead of the sugar skull will have the name of these people that passed away. Also, we have this tradition. We know it's like a joke, but I can give you, for example, a sugar skull as a present, also with your name, to remind you that we are going to die no matter what. So sugar skulls are also for children. It's like a candy. They don't eat it anymore. Now we have these candies made of different ingredients like chocolate, and they eat those, but not the sugar skull anymore. But this technique in Mexico, the sugar skull is called alfeñique. That's how we call the technique of doing these sugar skulls. So that's another very important element. So don't get angry if I give you a sugar skull with your name on it.
Last year for the altar, we worked with our good friends over at Maracas Montessori School. A shout out to our friends over in Maracas. And their students made the skulls out of large little rocks, and they were wonderful. These were all handmade by the children. All of them were in the age group of maybe about 4 years old, all the way to about 8 years old, somewhere in that age group. And it was wonderful to see all of these wonderful rocks all decorated, and it's just wonderful to see the work that that Leti Alvarez and that we were able to do with the COR Museum here, because it's really a family event.
Oh, that sounds beautiful and wonderful, and I hope to see it someday. I would love to visit the COR Museum and see all these things that you do with these traditions. And then we have another very important element, and a delicious one. We start gaining weight on October with this bread.
Now we're into the things that make me happy.
Yeah, also me. So, Pan de Muerto, or the Day of the Dead bread. Someone asked me some years ago. Some tourists asked me, "Are they really made of that?" And I was like, "No, it's just for the festivity." So, the church represents this bread as the body of Jesus Christ, right? And it represents fraternity, and it's something like, how you call it, the communion wafer?
Communion.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We already spoke about human sacrifices. The Spaniards didn't allow that once they arrived here. So they have this idea of making this bread with the shape of a heart. So the first bread for the Day of the Dead was bread with the shape of a heart and with red sugar, to remind them these sacrifices that they made. Now, the shape of this bread that we know nowadays is different. As you can see, it's like a circle. That circle is representing eternity, life and death, always together, okay? The small ball in the top of the bread represents the skull, of course, of the sacrifices. And this cross along the bread represents, the arms and the legs of these sacrificed people. We call it canillas in Spanish, but that is a representation of the legs and the arms. And in this part, I would like to visit again the webpage of iamthequixote.com, because we're going to have this friend of mine, Daniela Canizal. She's going to show you how to make the original and traditional Day of the Dead bread. We're going to give you the recipe with all the ingredients and how to make your bread, because believe me, the bread is delicious. It has
really
nothing
is.
to do with the sacrifices anymore.
Every year,
really delicious.
Every year we always are very fortunate to be able to partner with a lot of the local bakeries. And they usually we're able to bring pan de muertos and all the wonderful sugary breads and all the good stuff. And we always are able to collaborate with folks to help us do the chocolate caliente, right? Which is my favorite drink. I do a whole thing
wonderful.
based on chocolate caliente, which is hot chocolate. So we usually have hot chocolate, and we have pan de muertos and other types of sugary treats, and that's always a big hit, and people just absolutely love it. And it's always great for folks. So I would encourage folks to go to their local bakery, Latino bakery, and you can order, but you have to order because they only make it like during this time. So you have to order ahead of time to get it.
Yeah.
And if you're not gonna order it, then check out our video, because that's something that you could do that's family friendly. You could do it with your kids. And we're going to give you the recipe. And Caracolas has done that step by step for us in the video. And so we're excited about that. So go to our website and check that out.
Yeah, she's going to give you the whole recipe and how to make bread of that. And it's pretty easy, believe me.
And what was the name of your friend that helped us with the recipe again?
Oh, Daniela Canizal. She is from Caracolas Lab Project. She makes all kinds of Mexican recipes, all kinds of bread, Mexican bread. And she has also on her Facebook page, She also gave these workshops. A couple of weeks ago, she gave the recipe for the Day of the Dead bread.
So we'll put that information so folks can check that out as well. Thanks so much for helping us out with that.
Talking about the bread, in Mexico, there are different kinds and styles of bread for the Day of the Dead. It's not just the traditional. Here in the slide, here in these photos, we can see different breads. For example, these are from Oaxaca state. This one on the left is called pan de cazuela. This bread is made like, how do you say pot? In a pot?
Yeah,
cazuela like you make the bread in the pot. That's the shape, and well, that's the meaning of pan de cazuela, okay? And as you can see, it has faces of saints and virgins. We have here La Virgen de Guadalupe, which is very famous and traditional here. We have the face of Jesus Christ here. We have an angel here. We have another virgin here. So that's the traditional thing on this kind of bread. On the right side, we have another one. This is like an embroidery in the bread. Really beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Also, this kind of bread is just for the Day of the Dead, celebrations. We have another one. This one has also the traditional bread with sugar, but it's black. The black part of the bread is totomostle, the ashes of totomostle. What is totomostle? Corn husk. You know that corn husk for the tamales. Well, here in Mexico, in some areas, we burn those corn husk, and we use the ashes for the bread. It has sugar and is the same bread as the traditional one, but with the ashes of this corn husk. The name totomostle is the Nahuatl name for corn husk. So,
and corn is very important to the Mexican culture. It's one of you almost see it everywhere. I mean, corn is super, super important for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. Corn is very important in Mexico for all the food and many other uses, as you can see in this bread, right? Mm-hmm. So another one that I want to show you is this kind of bread called golletes. They look like donuts, and they have sugar, also colored sugar. And usually you will see this kind of bread like hanging in the altars. They will put these golletes in the altars, but hanging. You know, you will see the altar and one gollete on each side of the altar. And that's another kind of bread. We have lots. I have a huge list of this bread that people made for the Day of the Dead festivities, but we can show it all. But these are some of them. This is another one. This is from a place called Acámbaro in Guanajuato state. GTO means Guanajuato. That's a state of Mexico. And
you know, in Guanajuato, they do the best festival ever, right? Because they do El Festival del Quixote, or El Festival
that's wonderful.
Cervantino, right? So that's very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, the Cervantino, the best festival in Mexico. So this bread that you're watching, that small point, red point in the middle of the bread, that's the heart, and that means that this bread is representing grown-ups, adults, people who were sacrificed. They have this small point, red point, which is representing the heart. You know, talking about pre-Hispanic times and human sacrifices. Well, that's the meaning of this small red spot in the middle of the bread. That's another kind. And finally, we arrive to the start of our altars and offerings. You can miss all the rest of the elements, but not papel picado. Papel picado is really, really important. It has also a very deep significance in the altar. We already talked about the 9 regions, right? That people should cross when they want to arrive to the Mictlan. So one of these worlds, I think is the second one. They have to cross this world where 2 mountains were waiting for them. And when they trying to cross, when the spirit tried to cross, the mountains will just close and don't let them, cross. So the paper, when the paper move with the wind, the papel picado means wind. So when this paper moves with the wind, they, let's say they cheered on these 2 mountains because they believed the paper was the spirit that wanted to cross. So that was the moment when these mountains, collide together. The spirit could cross because the papel picado cheated these 2 mountains. That's the meaning of the papel picado, the wind that will help this spirit to cross these 2 mountains. In indigenous times, they use papel amate, not papel, we know it as papel de China, because it was brought from China. But in pre-Hispanic times, they use amate. We don't use amate anymore because amate is made from the trees, and it's kind of difficult to find amate paper. So we now use this papel picado,
tissue paper,
papel de China, as we know the papel, and it has different images on it. Usually, skulls. The Katrina is very popular. Also, the Day of the Dead bread, candles. Many designs, many colors, and it's bright, it's colorful, and it's something that you should have on your altar or your offerings for your loved ones. Also because it's festivity, it's happiness, it's joy. That's why the colors of the papel picado.
And papel picado is not just for Day of the Dead. I mean, you can almost never go to a fiesta or a festival, anything that has to do with the Mexican culture, that you don't see papel picado. Papel picado is always there. It's very festive. It's very representative. And we have, it's a dying craft. These are all done by hand. And then now folks can buy it, where they're made by machines, or they're made in different parts of the country. And but in Mexico, they're made by hand, and it seems like it's a craft that's being lost, which is a shame because it's very labor intensive. It requires a lot of creativity, and just like most things, we undervalue the importance and the craft of artisans. And we have a video that we're going to show about that as well, right?
Yeah, we have some local craftsmen and women, some artisans, that will show you how, they have a workshop on how to make papel picado with scissors. It's pretty easy. And you won't believe what you will have, what you will do after you finish. It's beautiful. But also, as you said, it's a craft that requires a lot of work. It's made by hand, as you can watch in the image. You can see all the tools that they use. These are made by hand too. And they work many hours to get these kinds of designs, So yeah, we're gonna have this video where these people from Artesanías de Papel in Xochimilco, that's the name, a video where they are going to show you how to make papel picado, the meaning of papel picado for the Day of the Dead, and you can follow them. They also give workshops, and also you can buy them some papel picado because they have some great designs, as you said, Rafa, for many festivities like birthday parties, weddings. I think you have Sweet 16
Sweet 16,
in
quinceañeras. Over
yeah,
here it's Sweet 16, but obviously in Latino community it's quinceañeras.
quinceañeras also. So it's really pretty when you go into a party and you see, oh wow, all these colorful papers hanging in the parties, you know. So we're gonna have this video with these artisans, and they are gonna show you how to make paper. This papel picado.
Wonderful.
And that's it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this small presentation, this overview, this closer look to the Day of the Dead. I want to thank you, Rafa, for the opportunity. Thanks to the City of Raleigh Museum. Thanks to the Artist Studio Project. Thanks also to IamQuixote.com. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity. I really enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it too.
Yeah, we also want to thank you for taking the time and to share your wonderful culture. I encourage all of our viewers to check you out. Go, you have a Facebook page, you have different ways that you can contact Citla. And if you're ever in Mexico and you want a great personal tour, or if you have a group of folks that you want to learn a little bit more about Mexico, any part of Mexico, it doesn't matter if it's the city of Mexico or it's another part of the country, look her up. We're going to put her information on the bottom there so you can get to know her. She's bilingual. She speaks Spanish, English. She has a lot of good friends, a lot of artisan friends, a lot of restaurant friends, and she knows a lot. And we're so fortunate to be able to have you share this wonderful culture, give us that closer look to this wonderful tradition. And I know that the COR Museum, on behalf of the COR Museum, also the Mexican Consulate, and everyone, we want to say thank you to you for taking the time to put this together. I want to encourage everyone to check out the links that we have, and then also visit the videos that we have of the artisans and the how-tos and all of that. And I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to leave watching a video of our good friends Larry Bellorin and also Agustin Gonzalez, and they're gonna take us home with La Llorona, the weeping woman. What do you think about that?
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Let's hear them.
Wonderful. Thank you once again to the friends of the COR Museum. I hope everybody has a wonderful Dia De Los Muertos. Remember to check out all the additional videos and stuff that we have at IamQuixote.com. Also, the stuff that they have at the COR Museum, and also at the Friends of the COR Museum social media pages as well. So without further ado, thank you once again, Citla, for being with us. And we leave you with La Llorona.
Thank you very much. Have a happy Day of the Dead, people. Bye.